All right, well, welcome everybody. Thank you for attending my latest presentation. Today we're going to talk about product definition. How do you define a product? How do you make sure you're defining the right thing for the market, the thing that customers actually want and need, and that you're not just building crap or garbage that the market doesn't want. Case in point, Mark Zuckerberg took a big bet on the metaverse. Metaverse, is that what it's called? Metaverse? And they just laid off 12,000 people. I, as an exec or a leader or as a company, that would feel absolutely horrible to me. I mean, all those people have families. We make mistakes in business. It's got a lot of responsibility, but things like that happen. All right, so I'm going to talk about the techniques that I've used in the past to define products. How to get from an idea to the actual implementation to the use of the customer and a feedback loop to make changes to it. Quick poll. How many of you have ever dealt with a date time bug? Time zones, any of that stuff? Anybody? Yeah, it's pretty nasty. As an example here, we have a date timestamp of when this gig was supposed to start, and it's pretty complex. Thursday, and then we start with the year, which is weird for Americans because we usually go month, day, year. But this goes from like the most significant chunk of time, the year, all the way down to the time, and then you get into complex things like time zones. We just switched from Eastern Daylight to Eastern Standard, which is complicated. And then you get into more complex things like which calendar are we talking about? We actually use the Gregorian calendar, I believe. And there's other calendars like the Julian calendar that are going on concurrently, and it would be at a different date. Very complicated. So yeah, I've probably spent over 10 months to a year of my entire career dealing with date time issues and computers and software. If you want to make a software engineer mad or hear them rant, bring up date time issues and time zones. All right, quick poll. How many of you identify as a product manager, product owner, or marketing something or other? Anyone? Okay, How many of you identify as a scrum master, project manager, lead of something? Okay. How many of you identify as a UX designer, UI designer, human factors engineer, or a UX something? Okay. What about business development, sales, customer service, and data? Okay. How many of you feel like you're a software engineer, a coder, an app developer, or a hacker? Okay. Very good. What about a CEO, president, founder, a mother of dragons? How many of you feel like you identify as a teacher, an educator, customer support, customer success, a mentor? Very good. Anyone in the other category don't feel like you fit? Okay. How many of you feel like you are interdisciplinary? That's right, and that's cool. That's a cool skill to have. A lot of people say, that's not my job. Stay in your lane. I think the more breadth you can get in your experience as you get through your career, you don't have to become an expert in everything. But I mean, just talking to customers, that's a really important thing to do. So yeah, just wanted to bring that up. Anyone know what this movie is? What is it?
Office Space.
Yeah, Office Space. So this movie came out in 1999. It actually kind of bombed in the movie theaters. They made it for 10 mil. It starred Jennifer Aniston. Everyone else is pretty much a nobody. Jennifer Aniston was the big deal. And it only made initially $12.2 million at the box office. Now, when I saw it for the first time, I laughed my ass off because I could identify exactly how they worked and how toxic the culture was. Is this good for Initech? Is that the name of the company, Initech or something like that? Is this good for the company? Whoever says, well, is this good for the customer? Is this good for the employee? So yeah, these three gentlemen right here. Two of them are software engineers. I forget his role. I know he's the main character, but he might be an engineer too. And this guy,
He did the TDS reports.
Oh, that's right, the TBS reports. Then you get the memo. And this guy, I loved his character. Since engineers can't talk to customers, and his job was to take the requirements from marketing to the engineers. How weird is that? But I can relate to that. That's how it was back then. Very, very strange. Yeah, it was written and directed by Mike Judge. He also did Beavis and Butthead, King of the Hill. Really brilliant guy. So if you've not seen this, it's classic how things used to be and how toxic culture can be. Yeah, so sad but true. I mean, this is how it was back in the 90s. And maybe it is still to degree some ways today the same way. And then when your organization, when things are going off the rails and everything is absolutely terrible, what you have to do is hire the consultants, right? You bring in the consultants. They're going to fix everything. So here we have, the two Bobs, and they are going through layoffs. And so, of course, start off asking me, so what do you do here? And these two guys, their shtick is absolutely awesome. So yeah, toxic culture at organizations. About me, I went to Purdue, electrical and computer engineering. This is the engineering fountain, and after a long day's work and studying, my friends and I would blow off steam, I'd run through it, and we'd actually skate it too, just to relax and chill a little bit. So last time I went up there just to hang out with the engineers and kind of bond with them, I want to show them that I could skate, so I'll do a quick little video here of me skating. We got any audio? So it's a lot higher than it looks. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, it's about that high. So the kids loved it. The engineers loved it. It's like a, perfect curve. Not designed for skateboarding, but it's what skaters do. So I had a great time there. I made a lot of great friends. Speaking of the engineering fountain, this is how I remember it as a kid. And like I said, after a long night of studying, several of us would blow off steam and run through it, get wet, stuff like that. But if you look and go up there today, they've installed what's called the muffler. I don't know if anyone's heard that or seen that. My understanding, I don't know if it's true or not, but the fountain goes on and off. Might shut off for a minute and then come back on. A young woman decided when it was off to sit down on it, and that thing flushes about 558 gallons of water per minute. So she may have, what I've heard, I don't say it's true, she may have gotten an enema really, really quickly. So to solve that problem, you put a muffler on it now. So now the kids get wet, but they have to go around it. They can't actually sit on it or wait for it to go off because it is a lot of pressure. Yeah, I love that fountain. Brings back life. All right, let's get started. What are we here to talk about? So you may have heard this phrase, software is eating the world. Every company now is a software company. Everyone has a software division. In my opinion, even though I have a pretty good education level, I'm becoming more and more frustrated with technology and apps. I think the barrier to write good software, I think the processes and everything, I think it's, for whatever reason, everybody wants an app. I'm starting to find software to be unusable. And I don't know if you've ever had a moment like this, but this is, I think, Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec, played by the brilliant Nick Overman, I think is his name, where you just want to take your computer and throw it out the window or smash it. I've had many a times that feel that way. So Ron's solution, I think this is kind of funny, is that government should be privatized and follow the business model of Chuck E. Cheese family entertainment chain. If you don't know Chuck E. Cheese, we have a few of them in town. It's pretty freaking creepy. Yeah, I don't disagree with him. I've tried to use some of the government's portals, websites. It is terrible. I'm sorry to say that. They could probably hear me, but you get what you pay for. It's bureaucracy. It's unusable. Maybe it's designed to be unusable, some of the services they provide. But our taxpayers or our tax dollars are going to it. And it could be so much better, so much usable, but for whatever reason, it's not. We went to an event by Demand Jump downtown on the Circle, and the Indiana Secretary of Commerce, Brad Chambers, was speaking. And he talked about all these things that the government wants to provide to entrepreneurs and startups. And when I asked him, okay, how do I do that? How do I get hooked into it? He's like, we're working on it. We got a portal. It's coming. Okay, cool. I could help you build said portal. Let's see, has anyone been involved with designing a account creation or sign-in flow? You know what I mean by that? Every app now wants you to log in. Has anyone ever been involved with designing those?
Designing?
Yeah.
Or engaging with it?
I know everyone's engaged with it,
Okay.
but actually designing it, username, password, it used to be that simple. Now, I'm not a robot. What if you are a robot? What do you click? No, that's just so this is actually an app from LA Fitness, which I just joined not too long ago. And when I clicked on the create account button, as I was instructed to do, this is the very first step. Enter barcode. Enter the barcode of what? What are you talking about, enter barcode?
I guess that's what you do when you are a robot.
Yeah. I don't have a tattoo for barcode. So I look at the UI and I say, okay, maybe that blue question mark will help. By the way, when I was there at the desk, I'm like, can I have the little key fob thing and just scan it in that way? Like, no, we don't offer those anymore. So then I click the question mark. Wow. Where's the barcode? It's on this thing that they won't give me, okay? And it's on this membership agreement thing somewhere. This is supposed to help you find said barcode. Eventually, I had to talk to the person at the front desk, and they had to look at my account and give me my barcode. But I just wanted this little thing, and for whatever reason, technology's made it work. I'm sure you've all seen the little key fob. It's so easy. It works. But now everyone uses an app. All right, so enter the barcode. Now we're on to step 2. Step 2 is enter first 5 digits of the account us. What is that? What is account us? Dot, ellipses. What is that? Any clues?
Question mark.
User?
User? It's terrible. It's the first 5 digits of your debit or credit card. What?
Are you going to share your debit card with us?
We'll get there. I think it's blurred out. But why the first 5? When you do typically enter a credit card, debit card, last 4. Who is designing this and who said, that's a great idea, let's do that. I like that, 5. And let's look at the text clip and make them guess. So again, this whole process took me a week to get my mobile app. And as soon as they'd say, hey, I think I got to call the back office, I'm like, I'm out. I'm done. I don't want to talk to the back office. Those people are terrible. So after I got the first 5 digits of my debit card into the account, this is the next screen, which is where you think intuitively you might start. Username. This is awful to me. There's text everywhere. It's clipping up, against the UX design. There's no white space. I don't understand password, confirm password. I've never really liked that pattern. I've never liked it. If you use something like LastPass, which generates unique passwords for every account that you create online, so that when you get hacked once, you don't get hacked everywhere. I generate a password from the LastPass app. I come over here and I try to paste it in. You can't. You can't. So you got to type it out. Minimum 6 characters. Oh, this line's cut. Cannot be the same as username. Oh yeah, you don't use the same username. Oh, that's a bad idea. You shouldn't use the password. That's not good. Then your email address must be valid. Blah 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 blah. Whatever. Awful. So then I entered all that, and then I clicked the continue button, And that little spinny thing took about 60 seconds. What felt like 60 seconds. I didn't time it, but again, why are you making me wait? And then the grand prize after creating this beautiful, beautiful account with LA Fitness is this beautiful UI. You get what you pay for. This doesn't look very good. Yeah, there's a nice woman to help you pull down the bar. And they're doing sales up here. They want you to book your call your club to book a complimentary. Yeah, that's sales. They're trying to sell you something, right? But you get what you pay for, and I think this is probably HTML versus using native UI controls. If you know what I mean by that, it's a web app encased in a mobile app. So yeah, I've designed many of these. This is just one of many bad account creation flows I've seen. All right, so how do we fix this gigantic mess? Well, I'm going to talk about some of the things I've done over the past 24 years, what has and hasn't worked. Step one, so obvious, but this is, you've got to get out of the building and go talk to your customers. You've got to see how they're using your product. There's too many people in there. Well, what used to be an organization, a big building, thinking about the customer and what they may or may not do and how they might do this and that. Now everyone's like kind of dispersed and working from home. You really have to get out there and like Spiro and I were talking, like see them face to face, see their emotions, see how their frustration, how they use their hands, their body language. Like seeing them pulling their hair, like with the LA Fitness thing. Like, why aren't the engineers or designers who invented that LA Fitness thing watching someone use it? Saying this is terrible. They can't. So step one, get out of here. Go find your customers. Go talk to them. Take them to Starbucks. Ask your marketing people. Whoever talks to your customers. I think every discipline should hear the voice of the customer, so to speak. There's a guy who I really love. His name's Steve blank. Anyway, he went to Vietnam, got out of Vietnam, went to the University of Michigan, quit, moved to Silicon Valley in like '78, and he started several startups in Silicon Valley, and now he kind of teaches everyone the tricks of his trade. So I find him absolutely amazing. Like the things he says are so intuitive. Like I don't know why people don't go out and do it, but this is a great resource in terms of understanding customers. He's been in Harvard Business Review several times, started several companies in Silicon Valley that have been successful. Now he talks about it. Some of the things that he preaches, when you go out and talk to customers, ask questions like, so what do you spend a lot of time on doing? If you're using computer software and you're trying to maybe book a patient into a hospital, you say, you know what, it takes me 55 minutes to type in all the stuff about the patient. This is ridiculous. There should be a quicker way. Ask them about what challenges they face with your product or service. Questions like, hey, if you had a magic wand, it could fix this mess or your organization or this tool or the software you're using, what would you do? What do you dread doing? Develop rapport with them, Take them out to dinner, take them, buy them coffee, introduce yourself. I don't like small talk usually, but if you find like something that you, hey, did you watch the Colts game last night? Or wow, it's going to be cold tomorrow. That kind of stuff. But hey, I like computers or I like skateboarding. You can find something to bond on. Just deepen that relationship and understand, emotionally and how invested they are in their job and how does your product or service or software impact them. You're not there to pitch and sell them like, hey, look at this, you like that? And be careful about leading questions. Oh, if you have questions, guys, feel free to interject. You don't have to put your hands up, just chat, just talk. Usability, safety, and happy customers. UX, UI. UX stands for user experience. UI for user interface. A long time ago, we called it human factors engineering, like industrial engineers designing controls and things in airplanes and nuclear reactors and a big red button that you can always hit that means safety. Those have now concepts have been ported over to software as buttons, dials, even voice now is a way to interface with stuff, and even Bluetooth Low Energy. So there's three really awesome people that I have followed through my career. Number one is Michael Wicklund. He started Wicklund Research and Design out there in Boston. He sold it to the Underwriters Laboratory. He comes here to Indianapolis, like, probably for the past 15 years, preaching to the medical device companies here, the big ones, about safety and usability. He made a very strong argument, and I believe him, that there's a strong correlation between usability and safety. If I can use it, then if I can use it properly, I'm trained properly, and I understand the software tells me if mistakes or confirmation on things, just to make sure that that stuff leads to safety. Jared Spool, he's awesome too. I saw him in 2008 at the Agile conference. He started his speech with dancing to Beyonce's Single Ladies. He's so funny. He started a design center down in Chattanooga, Tennessee called the Center, CENTER, CENTRE, as a way to maybe lower the cost for people to get user experience and design without going to a traditional college. And last but not least, Steve Krug, he wrote the book called Don't Make Me Think. Very simple concept of when I see software, when I see something, don't make me think about, okay, do I click this? What is that? Like, it should be so intuitive and so simple. So I love these guys. I recommend them. Oh, and Allison Struck, she also writes with Michael Wicklund. There's tons of free resources online. Like I said, Michael Wicklund has come here several times to give talks to different medical device groups that are free, and it just blows my mind. I don't know when he'll be here next or if he's retired. Personas. Anyone ever seen a persona? A research team goes out and does all these studies about the types of users you might have. I know this is hard to read, but sometimes they're fake people. They're aggregates of populations of people. They can kind of help, but they're kind of tricky too. These emotional state things, like, what the hell are they thinking? As if emotional state is like a static concept. So I know these research companies that go off and like do months and months of research and months of writing these papers. And I'm like, what? It's like a 100-page paper. Like I gotta like try to understand the user. Like I don't like it. I don't like doing it that way. What I like doing, my tips are attend these market studies or user studies in person. They're often videotaped with some of the bigger companies here when they do market research or user studies with their products around usability and safety. I find if I actually go to these studies, I sit there and watch them behind the mirror. This literally happens. There's these mirrors and you can sit there and observe and see how your users interact with the software, the tools, and there's a moderator there. You pick up things really quickly just seeing it firsthand versus letting these researchers do it and going off and writing a big paper. Maybe you need that for FDA submission and stuff like that. But just observing it. You can have your computer there and work on other stuff if you do. Create real world context versus like fake scenarios. Like you want to make sure your user is interacting with your product or service in a way that's in the real world context. Eat your own dog food. Anyone ever hear that one? That phrase? No? Mark, you don't know it. You don't know what that means?
Not in that context.
Well, eat your own dog food means whatever you're making, a product, a service, a piece of software, use it yourself. That's a novel idea.
Okay. Yeah, I totally got to use that.
There's a lot of people who build software that don't even use their own software. Like I've heard Jira or Atlassian, they don't even use Jira themselves. It's so bad. Like, yes.
Can I throw in an example?
Yes,
Years ago, I
please.
heard a marketing person who they were doing ad campaigns for adult diapers, and they all had to wear the adult diapers for the day and use them.
That's smart.
And it was like, really? I mean, in the office, you know? Okay, all right.
Wait. You had to use them.
Yeah, for the intended purpose.
Wow. Okay. That may be crossing a line, but
I'm sure there's fancy.
I don't know if anybody checked up to see if they actually did or not. Maybe they locked the bathrooms or something. But
Wow.
I was like, yeah, I'm glad I'm not in marketing. Sorry, go on.
well, that's fine. But no, when I worked for Delphi Delco, we worked on radios. When you're in there in the lab working on the radio and testing the things and all that stuff, you know, that's one use case. That's not really a use case. It's like you testing it. Then go take that radio and put it in your car as if you're a real driver going from here down to Florida. And how easy is it to change stations? What is it like when the station goes like AM, FM? Sorry, I'm older. It's easy to turn up the volume and all that stuff. You know? Put it in the tape cassette. Is it easy to eject? You know, that's what's eating your own dog food. Like, you know, get out of the lab and actually use it as you really would. Customer support people are awesome. They get to hear all the complaints and all the frustrations of customers. They used to be via phone calls. Some of these get logged. You know, your voice or this may be recorded for quality assurance. Those people get to hear a lot. You know, engineers sometimes and product managers and documentation people are far removed from that.
Trainers.
Yeah, they can't be bothered. They're busy working on the next thing. Let them. No. Those people who are working on the next thing should hear about how crappy it is right now and fix that crap first. Do the job of your customer. You know, again, that's like trying to, you know, do what your customer do. Like whatever their job is with your product or service, use it as they do. I've run into many experts, you know, about this, that, and the other. I apologize. I'll pick on academia a little bit, but you know. Well, I have a PhD.
You can fight back.
I have a PhD in psychology. What do you mean that you think this user did this or that? I've heard that many times in many different disciplines. And actually, it wasn't academia. They just had a PhD. That person even introduced himself as doctor or something. I say, oh, you do medicine? No, PhD. Oh, okay, whatever. But yeah, experts, sometimes you got to be a little bit careful. Sometimes they are experts in something, but sometimes you may want to like scratch the surface or challenge them a little bit. You know what I mean? Anyone kind of had that kind of experience? You know, someone's so arrogant that they don't even know their own fallacy.
But on the other side of that coin, there's subject matter experts.
Yeah, SMEs.
Who have earned that title by just being very good at doing that thing that they're experts at.
Right. I think another
So
context.
we need them
Yes.
sometimes.
Another context is I've seen a lot of people who are presenters. Who there's this old saying, those that can't do teach. Like they can teach something, but we actually put this person like they taught about this specific concept. And then when we actually had them try to use what they were teaching, they couldn't do it. It was really strange. Really strange. All right. Moving on. Step number 2. It's hard for people, but presume you're an idiot. A lot of people walk into, we have the next greatest, biggest idea. Mark Zuckerberg, we're going to build this metaverse. It's going to be awesome. Yes, Mark. Yes, Mark. Why don't we say, okay, the metaverse sounds kind of cool, but how can we take this slow? No, we're going to hire 12,000 engineers tomorrow. Get it going. I think if you take the mindset of when you have an idea or a thought or something new that you're going to do, maybe get rid of the arrogance a little bit and say, okay, maybe we've got to learn a little bit more if this is going to work or not. So Eric wrote a book called The Lean Startup. It's not a new concept, but back in the day, like Henry Ford, mass production, Henry Ford is famous for saying, well, you can have any color you want as long as it's black. He didn't care about what the customer wanted. He said, we're going to make it and they're going to buy it. And then the Japanese really came in, Toyota, the Toyota production system, and said, let's give them some variety. Let's build in smaller batches. Let's not do mass manufacturing. Let's just build a little bit, see how the customer reacts, and pivot where we need to pivot. I think the Honda plant, is it in Greenfield? Is that right? I think some of these newer plants are designed to build many different cars now versus just one, which I think is where, Ohio, Indiana, Michigan, they got themselves into trouble. Why so many things shut down over the years is, we make one thing. We make the battery for the Chrysler block. And no one wants the Chrysler block or the Pontiac. It's gone. The Pontiac is gone. So the Japanese have actually introduced just-in-time manufacturing, not mass production. Just-in-time and pivot when we need to. And so in software, the way this works is someone has an idea. We're going to add a new bell or whistle to Facebook. We're going to do posts with GIFs. I don't know, something crazy like that. You build it real quick, an MVP, minimum viable product. It could even be a paper prototype. You don't have to even write the code per se. Just something to get in front of customers. Build this MVP thing. You'll see a lot in software development. Don't make big bets. And then you put it in front of customers and you get data back and you measure exactly what's going on. Are they able to use it? Are they finding value from it? Or is it not working at all? And then you learn from that and you iterate. It's about iterative, very, very quick. We can put a software app out on my iPhone today, and if we see a bug, we can release an update pretty quickly. iOS, Windows, they all have updates now. It's a very awesome feature. Software doesn't have to be perfect. When we find something, we can get updated quickly. And you can kind of use that whole process with the lean startup way. And it works in Fortune 100 companies, and it works in startups too. Gotta be quick and nimble. For the sake of time, I won't go through all this, but I'll make the slide deck available to you guys later. It just gives you different ideas of what you can do in each step. You're trying to minimize your time through the loops. These really important things here. Net promoter score, I hate that one. It's like, give us a 10 if we did well. Split testing, that's kind of cool. Split between this cohort versus that one. Yeah, okay, all right, moving on. Speaking of iterative in circles, I had to show this. Anyone know where this is? Anyone ever seen this? It's at Olio.
Oh, yeah.
Olio, 136.
Oh yeah.
I call it the 5 points, 2-lane roundabout of hell or death. I was just actually going through there last night, and there were 2 cars in a collision. If you're not from around here and you come across this thing, it just is pure anarchy. Especially in the mornings when school's in. Olio becomes a one-way, or just a 2. You cannot go this way. You just sit there and you're stuck in traffic. It's the roundabout fails. And then don't even get me started on Deer Creek people who come up here from all over. Do the crisscross, now you're driving on the left-hand side. If you've ever been around here a lot, sorry, Ruloff, whatever it's called.
It's Ruhoff, spelled D-E-E-R-C-R-E.
If you know back in the day, traffic was hell coming from Deer Creek, had a concert there.
Better than that.
And now we have a lot of police officers trying to direct traffic, but still, if you're not from around here, and I saw another accident here probably a week ago, where as soon as you start driving on the left-hand side, cognitively, you start freaking out. You do. It just feels really, really wrong. But from an engineering perspective, well, there's a good reason why we do this. But it just feels so freaking strange. Has anyone had this feeling going through here?
You must have never been in the UK.
Where they drive on the left.
Well, they drive on the left, but they've got roundabouts all over the place. I mean, you got a roundabout feeding a roundabout feeding a roundabout just to go straight.
You kind of see that down here.
Yeah.
Try caramel.
And the roundabouts are 5 lanes wide.
Are you serious?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Geez.
Are they functional? Are they
Yeah.
working? Wow. The 2-laners like screw people up big time. Which lane goes in? Anyway. Iterative, circles, bad design. That's going to be torn up, I heard. It's going to be redone.
Oh, really?
It's just too much complaining. Too many accidents. Too many, what the hell?
Wow.
That's a lot of taxpayer money.
Huh.
All right, communication and documentation. All right, so you have people who go out and learn about what customers do, what do they want. Anyone seen something like this before? Like a Scrum board, Kanban board, Agile. So what's up here are typically stories. It might be your backlog. It's the tickets of work that need to be done to your product. I'm guessing here, but the yellow, we have an idea or a story. It's unprepared. You have typically a product owner or somebody who's going to go break that down, understand what's to be done, and then use it to a story to do in progress out done. This is crazy. They have too much work in progress. Too much work. Yeah, these are very common in Agile as a way to track work. And each ticket represents a unit of work or a story to be done. I know you're very interested in documentation. I was first introduced into documentation for Agile, or not Agile, into software development as the software shall do this when the button's clicked. And it was all written, it was all tagged. Again, the engineering manager had to go to marketing and get a document, and the marketing people are terrible at writing requirements. The software shall be beautiful. The software shall be usable. The software shall make customers happy. You know, just like things that engineers don't understand. What do you mean? The software shall be blue. We'll give you an RBG. What do you mean blue? What shade of blue?
Yeah.
It's funny how marketing people think, but business people and engineering people need to work together to make something successful. All right. My first introduction, no, you're not first. After the shall statements, the software shall do this, the product shall do this. The next thing I was introduced to that I really liked was called use cases. And it comes from the unified modeling language. So people tried to create a graphical way to represent software in pictures. These are called use cases. And this box, this rectangle, is the system. The system can be an app. It could be an embedded system, like in your car, like the radio. It's whatever it is that you're going to develop as an engineer product development. In this example, it's like a restaurant kind of thing. And these are the use cases, you know. A waiter receives an order, or order food is a use case. And it kind of like just ties to each of the different actors on the system or different people who use the software or system. So that's one of the authors. His name is Bruce Powell Douglas. Anyone familiar with Ferret 25? No? All right, it's one of the worst software disasters in engineering history. I think it might have been during the 80s. It's one of the first things they teach you in safety critical software design. There was an X-ray machine that I believe was designed to shoot radiation down into your body to kill cancer cells. And they used they started introducing software to systems, so just mechanical and electrical beams, software to control them. So people were getting zapped and dying or getting extremely bad burns. And I think when the people who were using the devices, the operators, and seeing the patients like scream in pain, and they're going back to this medical device company who built their 25. The engineers are like, no way. There's no way we would do it. They blew them off. And I think all said, like over 25 people died from being overexposed to radiation. So not to get too technical, but there were a few, they did finally say, oh my gosh, the thing is delivering 100 times more radiation than what was programmed in. 100 times more. And they did like a fault tree analysis, root cause analysis, and they tracked it down to a couple of bugs. One of them was being called, and you might feel like this one's called a race condition. You know what a race condition is?
not sure.
It's like when threads, one piece of software is doing this, and the parallel piece of software is doing this, and like just it's like a timing issue or something. Just I don't know. I'll explain it. I won't go into too much detail, but they did track it down to the software, and the software ended up killing a lot of people. So, I mean, there are many stories like, well, maybe not many, but it's like one of the first stories you typically hear. You know, when airplanes crash too, that's always a big one. Like, what the hell? What the hell just happened? That's why we have all these data recorders. These data recorders are designed to survive extreme temperatures, depths in the oceans, batteries. They have beacons to try to help us find them so we can learn what the hell happened.
The early days of railroading, there were horrific crashes just until they figured out how to keep trains from crashing so often, especially into each other. There was an incident in the early 20th century, I think, where a Purdue football team was going to Indianapolis on a train, and there was another train, and it hit them, killed a bunch of the football players.
I think I remember that. I think there's a memorial up there too. The same thing happened with glass in the front of your car, your windshield.
No.
People didn't know when they got in accidents they were getting decapitated and cut, by the glass in the front of the windshield. That's why they created shatterproof glass to keep that from happening. Same thing with some of the controls on the front of a car. If you look at the 1950s and stuff, that's a freaking weapon. That's a freaking arrow pointed right at me. And they didn't wear seatbelts as much. And, so it's crazy. Like,
You should have seen the child seats.
do they even exist?
It was, well, the early ones were, like those things you can get, like when you're at a restaurant, it kind of hitches onto the table.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a little seat with a bar. That's about what it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think, once you start collecting data across the United States, and you say, wait, 100,000 people died in automobile accidents, or 20,000 people were decapitated. Can we fix that? Yeah, I think we can. So the line I love from the book, from Bruce, is, what is safe enough looks different when you're at 30,000 feet. What he means by that is, when you're on here on the ground making an engineering decision about redundancy, you're just like, whatever. Go up in a plane and think about, I got 30,000 feet. You're literally being held up by air. You're going fast. Anyway, is it really safe enough? So yeah, UML use cases. It's kind of, people see it as an old technique, but I still really like it. It might look something like this: show computer sales, the actors who would be involved with this, unique IDs for traceability, the preconditions of the use case, the flow of events. This is actually the most important part. The flow of events, the flow the user has with your system or software. They need to log in. They need to verify their email address. They need to set up two-factor authentication. Those kind of things. And then you're always looking for, okay, what's all said and done when the user gets through this. So a more contemporary and popular technique for documenting, or how do we tell the development team what it is that we want. There's this process called user stories. And I give a lot of credit to Mike Cohn of, I think it's Mountain Goat Software. And what he did, or maybe it wasn't him, but what he preaches or teaches is to write something like this. As a user, what type of user, I want to block whatever so that I can do something. And it's the so that part is the really important part. That's the why. As a son, I want to send my mom a birthday, online birthday thing, or happy birthday thing online, so that she knows I love her. And it's that so that part that I think a lot of engineers miss. You just want to send a card. No, I do want to do that, but the reason why I want to do that is because there's this emotion to my mom. I want my mom to feel special. So I love that. Why what does the software do? As an engineer, that's all I care about. What do you want it to do? Just tell me. No. Tell me, what do you want to do and why? What does the user get out of it? I really love to hear those kind of stories. And then when you write it, another good thing for testing, you simply have a tester after the engineer or developer writes something. What are the acceptance criteria? These are the tests. These are the tests to make sure that this story is how we expect it to be. I expect that I can enter a 256 special message to my mother. I expect her to, once I hit send, that she gets it 8 a.m. on her birthday. You can write those, the person who's like thinking about this story for the user and knows the why, can kind of write all those things out to make sure they get tested, and you really fulfill what it is that person wants to do. That makes sense? And you can put these on little post-it notes. And you don't have to write it all out. It could be a token for a conversation. You can put IDs on it, like 1, 2, 3, 4, or something like that, and reference all the details in the document. Another way to do it is with a user story map. So this is a product called Cardboard, developed right here in Indianapolis, or Indiana. I'll just give you a quick demo of it, what it does. Hopefully, you got sound?
This is a completed story map
It's a
for
story
a
map
fictitious
for a
company
product.
called Pixagram. The goal of user story maps like this one is to help you have better conversations with your teams. Typical project tracking tools make it hard to discuss the bigger picture of a project because they lose context. The structure of a story map puts you in your user's shoes, and it makes it easy to have conversations where you're telling stories of the user interacting with your product. At a high level, a story map is constructed of 3 things. Shown here as yellow sticky notes, the body of the map is made up of tasks. These are the actions the user is taking as they are using your product. The body can also contain details that are relevant to the task, as well as alternative ways to perform a task. The top of the map is made of activities. Activities group the tasks below them, giving them a simpler name that is a good summary. Activities make it easier to discuss a map without going over every part in detail. The horizontal lines represent slices or swim lanes through the map. These allow us to make priority decisions by grouping tasks working toward a specific outcome. The first swim lane represents your highest priority and is what you will build first. Additional swim lanes below this will represent new priorities or outcomes that you want to target that will build upon the first. When you create a map, you won't start out with the structure. Instead, you'll build up to it as you create your map.
But yeah, user story mapping is another way to kind of define your product. Post-it notes, just tool Cardboard. I think you can get a free trial. Works pretty well. Another really popular tool, it's been very popular for probably almost 10 years now, it's called Miro. Again, once COVID happened, the game changed. A lot of people would work face-to-face and use walls and tables like these and start to diagram out the product that they're going to develop, brainstorming. COVID changed all that. So this kind of recreates the process virtually. Ultimately, people can add content, like post-it notes, to a board. So I think they offer a free trial too. Maybe holistic tools isn't the right name for this, but we as engineers, there are many different tools, but 2 of the popular ones are the Atlassian Jira suite of tools. They got really popular with Java, kind of came out. I think they're out of Australia. So you have Jira, which is ticket tracking, all bugs, all work, all tasks. You have Confluence for your wiki, yeah, to do all your documentation. So you're asking about documentation. Confluence is a very popular tool that's easy to write in. If you can use Word or something like that, then you can, enter in documentation about the software. We have a service desk thing too, where customers call in, they can log tickets, bugs, that allows the development team to review and see what needs to be fixed. And then another one from Microsoft, which I've been using pretty heavily of late, called Azure DevOps. It was called Microsoft Team Foundation Server a long time ago. I really love it. If you're using the Microsoft technologies like C#, F#, .NET, it's phenomenal. It does board tracking, automation of your builds, pushes to production, and documentation too. Test plans, all kinds of stuff. So product management tools, that's where I'm a little light. I'm not a product manager. But I know there are a lot of tools out there that product managers do like for writing down their ideas and this is what the product should do. These are just a few of them. And I've seen AHA. I've seen marketing people use things like Excel too. Miro, Monday.com, and PlanGrid. You can check those out. I don't endorse or recommend either one, any of them over the other. I think they'll have their pros and cons. Agile. Agile is a really big term these days. Agile's been around for a very long time. I think probably since the mid-90s. And some companies have been or are in the process of adopting Agile. Some people adopt it and things get worse, and thus the term called fragile. Meaning just because you take out your wand and say, all right, you're a product owner, you're a scrum master, we're doing iterations, that's not really agile. It's just like you're kind of going through, you're not getting the spirit. You may be following the rules, but you're not getting the spirit of what agile really is. And what Agile really is, the manifesto was written by people I don't remember their names. It wasn't George Washington or Thomas Jefferson, not quite that old. But these are the principles behind the Agile manifesto. And what tool you use, be it Jira or how your process works, these are the things that you need to follow in spirit. We want to satisfy the customer through early continuous delivery of valuable software. We welcome changing requirements. Engineers used to hate that. Write the requirements, don't change them. Don't change them. We're building it, we're designing it, you can't change it. In construction, you'll see the same thing too. Well, if you want to change that, you don't want the stairs anymore. That's going to cost you 5 weeks and $100,000. Software is very malleable. Very, very malleable. So let's embrace change. The market changes quickly. So when someone says, no, I want to do it this way, embrace that. Deliver working software frequently, from a couple of weeks to a couple of months, and a preference of shorter time scale. Big bang development is very expensive, and it's like putting a lot of chips out on the table if you're going to do a 3-year development cycle. The market could change out from underneath it. You got to work a little bit quicker and maybe build a little bit smaller and see how that goes. Business people and developers must work together daily through the project. We don't need that character from Office Space to say, those two groups don't talk to each other. That's my job. I'll go talk to them. I'll go get the requirements. I'll bring them to the engineers. The engineers have questions. No, they got to come together. They got to come together. Build projects around motivated individuals. Give them the environment and the support they need, and trust them to get the job done. Old school management techniques is, you guys are all terrible. I'm going to scare you all to death. Your jobs are on the line. That's not a good way to motivate people. But these are old school management techniques that people feared for their jobs, and now people change jobs pretty frequently. Hey, it sucks here. We're not getting anything done. I'm out of here. My grandparents, I think, stayed at the same company for over 30 years. So it's evolving. Face-to-face communication. I tend to agree with this. Before COVID, my algorithm of talking to people was, let's see, email was usually the lowest. Not a big deal. Don't need a quick response. This is kind of sensitive. I'm going to do a phone call. I'll talk on the phone. Oh man, this is a huge problem. We're going to need to have a conversation to figure this out. I have some terrible news to deliver to a customer, or maybe some great news, face to face. I can read body emotion. We can work on it together. This whole texting thing, Slack, chat, Teams, very efficient, but it's so weird for me to see engineer A sitting here, engineer B sitting over there, and they're chatting through Slack. I guess I'm old. I'm like, hey, dude, or hey, man, miss, hey, Jenny, can we like work on this together? Like, get out some paper. I don't know. I'm old. I'm sorry. I find body language and face-to-face communication very well. Of course, COVID, we have to deal with that stuff. Working software is the primary measure of progress. People used to measure progress on how many lines of code you've written. It's an arbitrary number. People used to talk about, I think there was a Dilbert comic, like, oh, we're going to pay you engineers by the number of lines of code you write a day. I think one of the guys says, oh, I'm going to code myself a minivan today. You know, just like copy and paste code out the long.
Wasn't there something recently when with Musk taking over Twitter, he wanted to see how much code everybody had written? And they were all like, yeah, we're going to print out all our code for you.
Yeah, I mean, there's other things in other industries, maybe even the medical, like, oh, how many patients you see a day is how we're going to reward you or compensate you. And so you come in here and someone's really sick, it's like, nope, 15 minutes per patient. I'll do the best I can. Oh, wow, you did 50 appointments today? But if you did any of those people, like, did their health improve? Oh, no. This guy only saw 3 patients, and all 3 patients are doing better now. You know, outcome-based reward. You gotta be careful what metrics you're using for your people. It can kind of scare people, or it can motivate the wrong thing. Continuous attention to technical excellence and good design enhances agility. Right. So if your design is absolutely crap and you need to adapt to it and put things onto it, like, you're just going to create more crap. Call it tech debt, you know, bad code. Gotta get it fixed. Simplicity, oh my gosh. KISS, keep it simple, stupid. That just fits a lot of things. Self-organizing teams, regular intervals of team reflects on how to become more effective, then tunes and adjusts its behavior accordingly. Yeah, it's sometimes called a retrospective at the end of a sprint. A sprint is a 2-week cycle where the team is building something. They have a goal. It happens in 2 weeks, and maybe they do or don't reach their goal. The team just kind of stops. Let's go out to lunch. What happened? What went well? What went poorly? What can we change? What can't we change? What's out of our control? It's called retrospectives in Scrum and other Agile processes. I find it to be a very effective thing to do. Getting close to the end, I know I talk a lot. Humans are weird. I don't understand them. Can't put them into cohorts or little categories. So a while back, I came across this guy named Robert Sapolsky. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He's an American researcher. He's a professor of biology, neurology, neurosurgery at Stanford. Stanford gives his classes away for free on YouTube. And it's a collection of like 26 classes, all about an hour long, covering human biology, behavioral evolution, genetics, neuroscience, endocrinology, human sexual behavior, aggression, mental health, language. It's absolutely phenomenal. You know? As an engineer in math science, I got to take some electives in psychology, and I thought, this is cool. But sometimes introverts or people who don't talk a lot and interact with people are very well confused by people. And this guy, I'm like, wow, that's why people do bad things. Or genetics and evolution and depression. Okay. This can all kind of fit into designing good products too, making customers happy. I don't know why I throw in Maslow's hierarchy needs. I did. For some reason, now I can't remember why. I won't start the video. I know we're running out of time, but you can literally go to YouTube and watch this class for free if you find human behavior absolutely confusing, and maybe you're interested in tying the science to it. As an example, there's a pretty woman and a man talking, and then something I went through, and then another man inserts himself into the conversation, and you picture the woman here, and then the man walks up here, starting to like almost get closer and insert himself, and the conversation is trying to up the men are trying to up each other. And then when I detect that, bye-bye. I don't play that game. It's very weird, but in this very evolutionary kind of thing, you know, survival of the fittest, the dominant person, you know, goes on or procreates. It's weird. I do observe these rules that I've learned in science, and I almost look at when I go out and do things now, everything's a psych experiment. I love to people watch and see what's going on. Maybe I'm not reading the situation correctly, but I do think this ties in well to designing good software and behavior. All right, we'll wrap it up with I really hate printers. I hate them. PC load letter. This is the famous scene from Office Space again. I've never done this.
Clean version.
This is the clean version, but yes, I would love to do this. I hate printers. Where'd you go there? There we go.
Does that mean?
Yeah. That's it. That's exactly what I need. Give it to me. Come on, let's go. That's what I need. Let's do that. Let's do exactly that.
Why does it say paper jam when there is no paper jam? I swear to God, and one of these days I just kick this piece of out the window.
You eat both, man. I think it's lucky I'm not armed.
Piece
I hate printers. I would love to do this. I tried to print something yesterday. It took 20 minutes. I could get it to print.
Yeah, boy.
So yeah, they're destroying the printer. Anyway, I always found that scene very. I wish I could do that myself. I'll go buy a printer and just destroy it. So thank you for your time. My web address for my company is right there. My business card is right there, and I'll put these slides out on the internet on my website and social media. I have these Linktree to do all the things that